All right, thanks Jamie for meeting with me today. I'm really excited to come in and work with your students on the piece that we have selected. I was wondering if you could tell me more about what your students have learned up to this point, what you've been working on in class, and kind of next steps where you want to take your students.
So in the pilot from the first semester, we did a lot of gathering evidence, so they can definitely find evidence from different sources and in informational articles as well as literature, but I think they're getting stuck on the analysis part. So, and I think that is a big key idea and key skill for 7th grade, and developmentally they get kind of stuck there. So I want to help push them beyond and move into that so they can be successful.
Can you talk a little bit about the shifts of Common Core and how we are getting students ready for those complex texts that they need to really grapple with now?
Yeah, I think that before, with the old way, before Common Core, it was more focused on just basic understanding and surface level. So we need to get deeper into what the text is actually saying and what it means and overall to their claim.
Okay, and so we're really talking more about that claim number 4, the research component now. So rather than just stating more of the on the surface Bloom's Taxonomy 1 type questions or, responding with emotion or opinion, really looking at that research component and where am I going to find evidence that supports my claim. It's not just about how I feel or what I think, but I want an expository piece and I want to directly use evidence from that piece to explain my thinking, to rationalize my thinking, to go deeper. So using complex texts in their academic language is one part of that shift, but then we have, 2 other really key shifts: grounding evidence from the text in both literary and informational, which I think you've mentioned, and then building knowledge through content-rich nonfiction. I think that when working with teachers this year has been a big jump as well. So the focus for the students was the short story, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, which is kind of a bizarre telenovela style, which is really fun, but it's not based in reality. So we wanted to have that high level of engagement, but we were thinking, how can we bring in expository pieces, information that they might be able to connect to it, but made it more real. So since the overarching theme of that is kind of, the mob mentality and irrational fear, I went off of that when I was looking for an expository article. How could I connect that? So the article that I found is called Fears and Phobias, and it is from Teens Health. So hopefully it's written at an accessible level for all students. Whenever I design a lesson, I always keep in mind UDL principles, which is Universal Design for Learning. It has 3 major components, which are engagement, representation, and then action and expressions. One of the things that I'm hoping to use with students when we work on this activity together is the argumentative performance task rubric for grades 6 through 11. I think it's really helpful for students to see what your expectations are for them so that they can work towards meeting those expectations. And when they do the task, our expectation is going to be 1 paragraph that asks them to defend their claim that fear is a bad thing, using 2 pieces of evidence and analyzing that evidence as completely as possible. So in order to get a 4 when we're looking at it, the student response provides thorough and convincing elaboration of the support and evidence, and that's what I'm hearing we need to work on.
Yeah, that's the hard part for them.
And includes reasoned, in-depth analysis and effective use of source material, clearly and effectively developed ideas using precise language, thorough evidence from the source, clear citations and attributions, and thorough explanation of evidence. So that's what we're going to be shooting for. And then importantly to note also, the rubric has been adapted for our purposes, since this is a 1 classroom activity, 1 day writing. So it's slightly different than the SBAC, so we have modified it to take out some of the organization components that would normally be scored. So we need to discuss what we're going to do in order to support the students and make sure that we can scaffold their learning or provide supports for our struggling learners or our gifted learners. Can you tell me a little bit about the students in your class that you think will need extra support, like your special education or your
Right. So I think that those students will definitely need that modeling for them, because they need to see what they're supposed to be doing, and I think that helps them a lot. Anytime that I model things for them, they seem to connect to that really well as far as their output. And then working with groups also helps. So they have someone to ask or look over at and rely on a little bit to kind of prompt them in the right direction.
I'll start out with my claim and then model and do a think aloud of how I got evidence to support my claim.
Okay.
And then I will use some of the sentence frames that I designed to show them and model how to use sentence frames to elaborate on the evidence I found.
Yeah, I think they respond really well to sentence frames and sentence starters, and those sentence frames help them figure out where they can go and what parts they need to focus on.
Another thing that I really like about using sentence frames for all of my students, but specifically my English language learners, is providing that scaffolding support for academic language. I know Common Core's one of their big shifts is really the focus on using academic language in reading and writing. So if we can provide some of those key terms and phrases for them, hopefully they will, over time, after using the model, kind of, you know, take it on as their own. So they'll be able to use
and it goes a little bit beyond just this is what this word means, and then we can show them how to use it in their own writing, and I think that definitely is the key part.
I know that some students may have a difficult time with transfer or handwriting, so I have also prepared a sample to provide for students who are struggling with that. Thank you so much for giving me the time to come in and model this. Do you have any questions for me or any last minute ideas?
No, I'm really excited to have you come in.